Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another cocktail. This week we are making the candy corn cocktail. So, I'm going to take a cocktail glass. Earlier, I infused some candy corn into 1 cup of whipped cream flavored vodka. Alright, so we're going to start with orange juice. We're going to pour 4 ounces of orange juice into our cocktail glass. Then we're going to take our spoon and we're going to pour our candy corn infused vodka over the top of the spoon so that hopefully it goes to the bottom. Yeah, not so much. Then we're going to take whipped cream. We're going to spray it on the top. And then we're going to garnish with some candy corn. I love candy corn. And there you have the candy corn cocktail. Didn't really layer like I wanted it to, but it's not bad. A little strong on the orange juice, I would say. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. See ya.
Maybe you're feeling good. Everything is going your way. You're killing it. Literally. If you're like Isaac from this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, Children of the Corn. But don't get too comfortable, because everything could go to hell in a skinny second. Yep, you could be, wait for it, malachied. Provoked or not, it is now your fate. My advice, stay away from the cornfields. Cheers.
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hey, I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. The podcast that combines the two very different but highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Greg?
I am too, Karen. I'm fantastic today.
Okay. Do you want to share with the class, or you want to keep it to yourself?
Nope, not yet. Maybe later. Keep listening if you want to know. That's called a teaser, Karen.
And we just lost half the audience. For those who remain, thank you.
All right, Karen, anything we need to cover from previous episodes, such as, I don't know, the vampire lovers? Anything you want to talk about the vampire lovers?
Nope,
No?
it's all in the past.
The addiction?
No, I think
No.
we're good.
All right, so I believe today was your choice, though, Karen. Was it? Was it not?
It was.
And what film have you chosen for us this week, Karen?
I have chosen Children of the Corn from 1984.
Any reason you chose this film, Karen?
Well, it's October.
Was it the anniversary of its release date or anything like that?
No, I'm not all sophisticated like you. October reminds me of Halloween. Halloween reminds me of candy. So I wanted to make a drink that had one of my favorite Halloween candies in it. And that is candy corn. So I chose Children of the Corn so I could make a candy corn drink.
So it's all about the candy corn this week.
Yep.
Do you know when this film was released, Karen?
1984.
Do you know what month?
No.
March 9th of 1984, which doesn't seem fitting for some reason. Why would you release this in spring?
I don't know. Is that when the movies that were supposed to come out are?
I don't know, but it feels very much.
Faith in it?
It feels very much like a harvest movie, doesn't it?
It does, and it does. It's obviously creepy, so you would think Halloween would be a good time to.
Do we have a cocktail for this movie, Karen? Might it have something to do with candy corn?
Did we just spend 10 minutes talking about? Why, yes, Greg, we do have a cocktail, and it involves candy corn.
Okay, go on.
Surprise, surprise. And it's called the candy corn cocktail. There are a lot of them out there, but I chose this one.
It's a simple one for the most part.
Sort of. You're going to need 1 cup of whipped cream flavored vodka, half a cup of candy corn, plus more for garnish, 8 tablespoons of orange juice, and 4 tablespoons of whipped cream.
4 ounces is 8 tablespoons, Karen, in case.
Yes, it is.
And
half
2
cup.
tablespoons or 2 ounces. But, whipped cream, you just spray that shit on top and just go to town.
If you spray some in your mouth, all the better. Right out of the can.
Damn, I should have done that.
Wasted opportunity. This one needs some preparation. So what you are going to do is infuse your whipped cream vodka with your candy corn. So you just put it in a glass container and let it sit for 1 to 2 hours. It basically dissolves the candy corn over time, adds the flavor. So you're going to add orange juice to a martini glass, and then you're going to place a spoon backside up against the inside wall of the martini glass and very slowly begin pouring 3 tablespoons of the infused vodka over the back of the spoon. It's very pretty. Greg doesn't know that, though, because his didn't work.
I don't.
I think you were just impatient. This will create a layered effect, causing the vodka to sink to the bottom of the glass just below the orange juice. So the infused vodka is a very dark orange color. And then the orange juice on top of it is a lighter orange color. And then you top with the whipped cream, which is white. So it looks like a piece of candy corn in a glass.
I'm not sure my orange juice and infused vodka were that different. Maybe that's why.
I didn't think mine was either, but it did. It was pretty. I would serve it at a Halloween party for sure. It's eye-catching. It's sweet, kind of coats your teeth with sugar, but that's not a deterrent for me. I'm 100% in on that.
Yeah. Well, I had the dentist appointment today, Karen, so my teeth are all clean and ready to be coated.
Your dentist would be so happy. I will say this drink has 984 calories, so go to town.
Who cares? If you're worried about the calories, you shouldn't be drinking.
Well, not that for sure.
Anything.
It's true.
Okay, should we give our listener time to make their own?
It's delicious. And
it's going to take a few hours.
So come back later. And you have to infuse it very slowly.
Yeah, hit
Be a
pause.
Karen, not a Greg.
And come back in 3 hours.
Okay.
Hold on.
See you then.
And we're back.
Yes, we are.
All right, Karen, might you have a brief synopsis of this film?
I do.
Go on. Tell me a story, Karen.
As physician, Bert Stanton and his girlfriend, Vicky, drive across the Midwest to his new job. Their trip comes to a sudden halt when they encounter the body of a murdered boy in the road. Encountered is an interesting word to use there. In trying to contact the authorities, Bert and Vicky wander into a small town populated only by children, followers of a sinister young preacher, Isaac. Soon the couple is fleeing the youthful fanatics who want to sacrifice them to their demonic deity. It's a pretty good summary.
Pretty good, yeah. I'm wondering how the murdered boy is standing up in the middle of the road.
I have that same question. And they don't just encounter him, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that encounter.
Okay. Are you ready, Karen? Get into it.
Absolutely.
All right. Children of the Corn from 1984, Karen. Do you remember 1984, Karen?
I do.
I know I've asked you this before, but go on. Anything special you remember from 1984?
Nothing I'm willing to mention.
Good year, Karen. 1984. Good year. That's all.
Absolutely.
I think that's all I have to say about that.
Fond memories.
Yeah, hell, it's a Van Halen album. What more do you want? And if you don't like Van Halen, you're un-American.
Okay, there's half of our half listeners. We're down to a quarter. You think he'd get rid of everybody by the end?
My son told me once that he didn't like Van Halen. I just turned and looked at him and said, well, that's just un-American. Did you watch this film on Amazon Prime, Karen?
I did. But I did see there were two versions. You could pay for it or you could not pay for it. And I watched the free one.
Well, yeah, it's included with Prime. Why wouldn't you watch that one?
But the other one said the same thing and it said it was $3.99. So I thought I was going to maybe get ads or something, but I did not.
No.
So I don't know what the difference was. I clicked on it just to see and it would have charged me $3.99. So I don't know.
Okay.
But I watched the free one.
So did I. First thing that popped up on mine was rated R for foul language, sexual content. Not near enough, Karen. Smoking.
Not near enough of that either.
No, there's only like 2 shots of Bert smoking a Marlboro. And violence. There's a little bit of that.
There's that might make up for it.
Not a lot of language either, for that matter, I didn't think. I can't remember any foul language.
There's some, but very little.
Okay.
Nothing that stands out, but I did hear some.
Then we have credits, Karen. And during the credits, it says a Gatlin production.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I've seen lots of Stephen King stories made for film, right, Karen?
Yes.
Have you as well?
Not as many as you.
Usually the setting is in like Maine. And it's usually like a spyglass. I don't know. It's something to do with the coast of Maine and whatever is the production. But I found it interesting that it said a Gatlin production, which is the town this is set, the fictional town that this is set in.
Well, I don't think there's a lot of cornfields in Maine.
No, there is not. That is true, Karen.
Maybe Stephen was driving through Midwest.
Well, he did write this years before it was made into a film, right?
Yes, but he must have been inspired. So he was probably driving in the Midwest because that's all you see for
corn. You ever heard of Haywood Banks, Karen?
No.
Haywood Banks is a comedian. And he has a song called Corn. And it's a song about him driving through the Midwest. And it's corn, 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 cow, corn, 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 corn. It's like that. You know what I mean? Soybeans, corn, 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 corn. That's Haywood Banks.
Well, I drove cross country from California to Ohio, and I sent my friends in California pictures of corn, 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 corn every day.
So this is based upon a 1977 short story by the same name.
Yeah, it's a short story, so they probably had to fluff it out a little bit, you think?
Not so much.
Oh, you've read it?
No, but Stephen King's a little wordy. You can make
okay.
a short story into a film very easily. Like this whole film takes place in, well, there is a time jump, but it's basically one day.
It's a couple of days. But yes, most of it's in a day.
So we see corn, Karen.
But it's not healthy looking corn.
I think it is. It looks fine.
No, it's all dried out.
Is it?
Yeah,
And we hear crows. Yeah, that's true. And we do see dry ground, and
it's a drought.
There's a drought, and the Grace Baptist Church of Gatlin has a special corn drought ceremony or some service shit.
Yeah, that's the theme for the Sunday is the corn drought.
And it says on the screen, Gatlin, Nebraska, 3 years ago. So that would have been 1981, right? If it was 1984.
If we assume that's when this was happening.
Okay. Or it could be 1974, if we're going from the short story. But anyway, we see people leaving the church, and the father and his son go to a diner, Karen.
At certain points in the movie, the young kid is like a narrator for us.
Job is his name.
Job,
Karen.
yes.
Job.
So he's talking about what's happening as it's happening. They're letting out of church.
They call him Joby.
Yes, they do. And he says it's been 3 years ago. And he says he's the only kid in church because his dad wouldn't let him hang out with the weirdo Isaac, but all the other kids went to hang out with him. And he said his dad was a smart man. That comes back later too, because he was not in the cornfield when all this planning and everything was going on, because his dad said, no, you can't go.
But they go to the diner.
Hanson's.
Yeah. And dad goes to use the payphone to call mom because his little sister, Sarah, is home sick with a fever. She got the fever real quick, Karen.
Yeah. So she didn't have to go to church.
And we see other boys in the diner, including who we learn is Malachi playing pinball.
Yeah. Malachi already looks creepy.
He looks familiar to me.
And he kind of smiles at the kid, a little sinister smile.
Then more boys enter and lock the door, Karen.
We do see Isaac outside the window, too.
Mm-hmm.
He's wearing his old-timey preacher hat. He's all in black.
Yep. As you do, Karen. And we see the waitress slipping drugs into people's coffee, ? I wrote.
Yes. Before that, though.
And I also wrote later that the waitress, she looks pretty old. She don't look like a kid because she's pretty well developed, Karen. I think she's older than 19. I'm just saying.
Maybe she developed early, poor thing. Before that happens, though, the dad is talking to the mom about the young girl, Sarah, and her fever is getting worse. But somehow...
And she's still drawing.
She's drawing a picture while she's in an epileptic seizure or a febrile seizure, I guess, from the fever. She can't see what she's drawing, but she's drawing what is about to happen at the diner.
She's like that chick Cindy that they have on like Ghost Adventures and all the ghost shows, who does like freeform writing. She just starts writing, and whatever the spirits tell her to write, she writes.
But this girl has just crayons and paper, and she's drawing in a way that what did you think? She's 5 years old?
Yeah, maybe. Something like that.
It looks like a 5-year-old would draw it, but...
Well, she may be 5, but from the courses I took in college, Karen, about art and children and art, I think she's a little more advanced than 5 as far as her drawing goes.
Well, that would make sense. She's very detailed.
Yeah. Like
but it still looks
like people aren't at the base of the page, they're up. So she has some spatial recognition.
Okay, excellent.
There you go. There's my big word for the day.
Schooling everyone. But yes, she poisons the coffee, and then she gives the coffee to all the adults who, I guess everyone in the cafe drinks. I would be safe.
I would too.
Because I don't drink coffee. But,
I don't either.
But apparently every adult in this town.
But they had people there to cut your throat if you didn't drink the coffee, Karen. So I don't think we would be safe.
It's true. But they only lock the front door. There's got to be a back entrance.
All the while, the daughter is drawing the diner.
Yes. So she's laying on her back, staring basically up at the ceiling and drawing with her hand off to the side. So it's almost like you said, just, well, it is like you said.
Free
like,
form. She's just drawing.
She can't see what she's doing, but it's turning into this drawing of the future, or really the present. But
yep. So the adults all collapse from the coffee, and then the kids kill the others in various ways, Karen.
Yeah, so the patrons start to choke and they fall over, and then the kids all whip out their knives and
they slit some throats. They, cut some hands in
a slicer.
A meat slicer.
That's a little brutal.
Whatever it takes.
They leave the kid alone, though.
Very Stephen King, though.
That's true. It
felt a lot like Who Made or Maximum Overdrive. A little bit.
Yeah, with the lawnmower and everything.
Yeah.
But the dad's trying to get to his kid because he sees what's happening. He drops the phone and he's trying to get to his kid. And then right in front of his own son, he gets hatcheted and chopped with a butcher knife multiple times.
And then we hear mom on the other end of the receiver kind of gasping and shit. And I kind of think, she gone too.
Yeah. What are you kids doing? And then you hear her die.
Yeah. And then we see Sarah's pictures, and then we have credits. Rest of the credits. So this was a mid-credit scene.
Yeah, and the kid overdubs that it happened everywhere in Gatlin that day. So it wasn't just the diner. It was anywhere there were adults.
And then we see a sign for Gassahall, I guess, because I wrote Gassahall. And we cut to a motel. And then it says present day on the screen, Karen.
Yeah, they go through kind of all the drawings that while the credits are going over, they're showing Sarah's drawings. So what happened at the diner and then all the kids are holding bloody knives and all around town. And then all the kids are happy and the kid in black preaching to them, planting corn, drawings, taking care of corn. So, they're showing what's happened in the 3 years by these little girls' drawings. But yes, then we jump to the present day.
In the motel.
Yes.
And we see what appear to be female feet walking across the shag carpeting, Karen.
Yes, very 70s.
Apparently it's Bert's birthday, or who we learn is Bert. It's his birthday.
He's asleep on the bed.
Yeah, and Vicky who is the girl.
His girlfriend.
Is it like an English muffin with a candle she presents to him or something?
I thought it was a Danish.
I couldn't tell. But it's his birthday. And apparently we learned that he is now a doctor. He just passed all of his exams and he's like officially a doctor because she gives him a lighter and
yeah, it's monogrammed. And he's an MD now. Yes.
Yes.
She basically lip syncs to a song about school being out and dances around the room.
And then the maid service knocks on the door and Bert says there'll be just a couple minutes and he wants to get going because they have a long day. They have a lot of driving to do, but Vicky wants to hang for a couple hours, Karen, she says. Then we're on the holiday road, Karen.
He rebuffs her a little bit and goes to take a shower. He wants to get moving. So yeah, they leave without any action, but they seem happy together.
Yeah.
She seems to be pushing for commitment because she says, is this a proposal or something? And he begs off. So
and then they're on the road and they talk about Bert's internship. So is this an internship he's going to?
Should be a
residence. He's already a doctor.
Well, if you finish med school, you go to a residency.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the same. They might use internship, but it's usually
that's what
a
they talk about.
Yeah, I have that too. But you would think it would be a residency.
And they pass a sign that says, welcome to Nebraska. And then I wrote, Karen, I believe there was a Stephen King book on the dashboard of their vehicle. Did you make a note of that?
I saw the book, but I don't know what it was.
It is Night Shift, Karen, by Stephen King. A collection of short stories, I believe.
Is this one in it?
Damn, that's a good question.
I bet it is.
It would make sense, wouldn't it?
So did he start off writing short stories before he wrote novels?
I think his short stories are better than his novels. Personally. I have a couple collections of short stories. And I like them much better than the novels. Night Shift is a short story collection of Stephen King. Includes The Lawnmower Man and Children of the Corn. Yeah, so sometimes they come back. Yeah, so the short story this film is based on is in that book, Night Shift.
And it has this.
Karen. Good catch, Karen.
Has the same title as the movie. Then they didn't change it or anything.
No, they did not. Then they're driving into town, and we see kids sneaking around, and we see a kid named Joseph. He's trying to leave the town, and Job and his sister Sarah want to go with him. But Joseph decides to make a run for it through the corn, Karen. After Job and Sarah tell him it's safe. No one is watching.
They yell to him, no one is watching. You would think that might be a clue that tips someone off.
Then we cut to Bert and Vicky driving through the corn.
Well, Joseph says he'll come back for them.
He does.
So he's going to try. He says they'll slow him down. He's going to try to make it on his own.
And we see Bert and Vicky driving. I say through the corn, but they're not really through the corn yet because they're still on the road.
No, but there's one other thing that they mention here, unless I'm jumping ahead. But Joseph mentions that Sarah can't let Malachi and Isaac see the pictures she's drawing for multiple reasons. One, they're predicting the future, but two, crayons and paper are not allowed. And neither is playing, and neither is the record player they have.
Right, but later Isaac contradicts that all that shit.
Well, he
wants to protect Sarah because she is the seer. She's a seer and she sees things.
And he also says that they're exempt from the rules because they weren't in the corn when the rules were made. That's the important part about, he does say that they weren't there. So they are like grandfathered or something with the other rules because his dad wouldn't let them go and Sarah had a fever. So they were exempt from that. He says that later. But they do yell, no one's looking, and Joseph takes off through the corn. And then in the car, Vicky and Bert turn on the radio.
So they're driving on the road through the corn, Karen.
Corn on either side of the highway, yes.
Yeah, corn. And Vicky turns on the AM FM radio. And there's a preacher preaching, Karen, about fornicators and homosexuals.
Yes. They don't leave it on for very long.
No, they don't.
But they're 7 miles from Gatlin.
This film has a lot of social commentary in it that's a little subdued, I think.
I don't think it's very subdued at all.
Well, I don't know. Some of it is.
I guess.
And they see a sign that says Gatlin, 7 miles. And we see Joseph running through the corn, Karen. And the corn seems to part to guide him the way. And I wrote, we have a childlike version of the Omen soundtrack.
I've multiple times I've noticed that.
I did too.
Yeah. And is the corn talking to him? Like, do you hear? It was weird.
Sometimes the corn does talk. I didn't make a note of it this time, but later I did.
But yes, the chanting and it's very Omen-like, the music.
And we see a knife and then Joseph gone.
Bleeding all over the suitcase.
Blood splatters. And we cut to Vicky and Bert looking at a map, Karen. A big old paper map.
Yep. So they're both looking at it.
Yes, they are.
And there's no one on the road. No one. They haven't seen anyone for miles. So they're not looking up. They're looking at the map.
But they both can read a map, Karen. It looks like.
Yes, they can. Yeah.
And apparently Gatlin is not on the map, Vicky says. But they're planning a trip. I think they're going to Seattle, right?
That's what it sounds like.
We don't hear that until the very end. But then they look up just in time to see someone standing in the road and they hit him. And I made a note that Vicky is not wearing her seatbelt. And she doesn't throughout the whole film, Karen.
Even after she knocks her noggin.
Yes. But Bert does. The driver always wears a seatbelt. Passengers, do what you want. That's the way it was in 1984.
Free range. So all of a sudden, the boy's in the middle of the road and they smash right into him. And I jumped. They got me a lot with jump scares in this. That surprised me. I didn't know it was coming because I've not seen this movie before. Have you?
I had not.
But they plow into him at like
They do.
50 miles an hour, and
I
they
didn't
show
jump, though.
him. Well, I did. I didn't expect to see him there. I thought he would die in the corn because he was obviously his throat was cut, so he was murdered. But this is their encounter. They run over him.
So, of course, Bert, being the MD that he is, he runs over to check on.
Well, first he checks his girlfriend to make sure
Vicky,
her head's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
He just hit a kid and he doesn't run. You would say, are you okay? Then run to the kid. But no, he's like holding her head and making sure,
Well, we don't know, Karen. Maybe she has some pre-existing history of neck trauma or some shit. Because she never wears her fucking seatbelt.
It's true.
But Bert runs to check on who we know as Joseph in the middle of the road, and he gone. But he does seem to breathe, though, Karen, as he's lying there.
He does. And he tells Vicky to stay in the car, but she doesn't.
Oh, Vicky don't listen.
No, neither does Bert. They don't listen to each other. Let's just be honest here.
But Bert has a feeling that there's something wrong here, and he tells Vicky to go back to the car and lock all the doors.
He won't tell her what's going on.
He just has a bad feeling. Well, he knows. By looking at the kid, he knows this kid's throat has been slit.
But why wouldn't you tell your girlfriend, this kid's throat has been slit? Get your ass back in the car and lock the doors. He just says, something's wrong here, Vicky. Go into the car and lock the doors.
That's what we would say today, Karen. But in 1984, we wouldn't say those things.
Yes, we would. You would have said it in 1984.
I might have. So Bert grabs a blanket and a tire iron from the truck. He's going to cover Joseph, and
what's the difference? So a tire iron, what's the difference between that and a crowbar? It's tire iron where you fasten the...
It's a big wrench.
Oh, okay. Lug nuts. Okay.
Yeah.
And the crowbar has the pointy end. Okay.
Yeah. So you pry stuff up.
Yep. Gotcha.
And then we see someone watching from the corn.
Yeah. We get their view.
And then Bert begins to walk into the corn, and he finds a suitcase and blood. Then we see who we learn is Malachi, the redheaded stepchild, walking towards the car.
Yes.
With a knife, Karen.
Big ass knife.
And then we see Vicky unlock the doors and get out.
Because Vicky don't listen.
She don't listen. Not doing what she's told, I said. And she calls for Bert. She starts yelling for Bert. She kneels down by Joseph and says she is sorry. And just then, Joseph pops up and lunges at her. Another jump scare, Karen. Did you jump?
Yep.
I didn't.
I did. He looked scary.
Then we see cut to Bert comforting Vicky, and apparently it's all like in her fucking head or some shit. I don't know.
I think she might have a concussion and she'd fallen asleep and she was dreaming.
Having imaginations.
Yes.
All right. So then Bert puts Joseph and his suitcase. Well, he puts Joseph in the trunk and the suitcase in the back seat. And they drive away.
Which is a little weird. I mean, there could have been evidence and stuff there. They just throw him in the back of... Can't be a good idea.
What would you do?
I don't know. It would be hard
to the side of the road and
leave him there. I don't know.
Call the wildlife, whatever, the people that come pick up the dead deer.
No, because they didn't have cell phones and stuff. I get it. It would be a hard choice. Do you just leave a kid in the middle of the road? But at the same time, it just seems not such a good idea to throw a dead kid in the back of your car. Now you've got his blood in the back of your car. Who's to say you didn't do it?
There ain't nobody around, and there ain't nobody driving down the road. So.
No, I know. I get it. It would be a tough choice either way.
So then we cut to Job and Sarah playing.
So wait, I have a question first before you get there. How did Malachi find Joseph in the corn? I mean, it's fucking corn everywhere. There's acres of it. Does the corn talk to Malachi and tell him where Joseph is? Think about how much corn there is.
Don't know, Karen. But they find Vicky and Bert from Sarah's drawing. So I don't know. Maybe Sarah drew that shit too.
Maybe. But they haven't found her drawings yet.
I think they know exactly where her drawings are the whole time.
Oh, okay.
So next we see Job and Sarah in their old house. playing and listening to records. They're playing Monopoly.
Yep.
And Job tries to cheat, Karen.
Let's talk about Monopoly, shall we, Greg?
Sure, Karen.
First of all, I'm going to say that my father would not let us play Monopoly on Sundays because he called it a game of greed. Because all we did was fight the whole time we played it. And as my sister says, it's not a real game until someone flips the board.
So is he trying to say that Sunday is not a day of greed?
Well, for my dad, no day is a day of greed, but I guess that was one he couldn't take it. So we got a little too ridiculous over it one Sunday, and we're not allowed to play it anymore on Sundays. But I've got a couple questions for you.
Okay, shoot. I'm pretty good at Monopoly, Karen.
So there are
Shocking.
eight pieces in the Monopoly game. What are they?
All 8?
How many can you get?
Can I get top hat?
Yep.
Cannon.
Yep.
Race
Which
car.
is they call the Horitzer, by
Whatever.
the way.
Race car.
Yep.
Are there 8?
Mm-hmm. Oh, 7. Sorry.
7. Shit, I'm drawing a blank, Karen.
You're going to know them as soon as I say them.
I know.
Dog.
Yeah, the terrier, right?
Yep, the terrier.
Okay.
Battleship.
Okay.
The iron.
Yes, the iron. Well, who wants to be the battleship or the fucking iron? Or the dog, for that matter.
The horse and rider.
Yeah, the horse and rider.
So that's it. Dog, battleship, race car, top hat, iron, horse and rider, and howitzer. Or howitzer, I guess.
Howitzer. Yeah, it's a howitzer.
So what, I'm going to guess you were always the top hat then? Or what was your piece that you had to have?
I don't know. I seem to remember being the howitzer a lot.
You were the cannon. I liked being the top hat because everybody usually had a piece that they claimed. How many copies of that game do you think have sold worldwide?
Oh my God. A billion?
275 million as of 2015, which was a while ago. So
Well, are you counting the
no,
the college
no,
opolies?
that all
city
came
opolies and
that all came later. But Monopoly's derived from the landlord's game. Did you know that? It was created by Lizzie Magie or Magie, Magie, in the United States in 1903. And it actually was made as an educational game.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it was a way to demonstrate that an economy that rewards individuals is better than one where monopolies hold all the wealth. Nobody liked that. So some other guy took it over and made it into the pure greed game that it is now. And Parker Brothers bought it in 1935 and then Hasbro in 1991. But it was about the evils of monopolies. That's what it was originally intended for.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
That's pretty funny. Game of greed.
Just monopoly money.
Well, we got pretty brutal over it, but we got brutal over every game we played.
Yeah, would you rather you played Battleship? I mean, a game
that's not a
war.
game of greed.
It's a game of war.
Yeah,
strategy.
But it's not the same.
Stratego, same thing.
You don't get in the same fights over that. Monopoly was a good one. We got in big fights over that.
So you would argue over money, but not
yes,
war. And
Greg, there were 5 of us. We lived war every day.
Battleship, you can only have 2 players, and like Stratego could only be 2 players.
Right.
Well, with Monopoly, you could have multiple players all trying to cut each other's throat, right?
7, as a matter of fact. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
and you could team up, and if you start, you could team up to try to defeat.
Could.
So it got a little ugly that way.
Yes, I imagine. I never experienced that because I was an only child, Karen. But
Risk was kind of the same way.
Yeah, it was me against the world, Karen, which
did you
suited me well.
One time you were the top hat, and the next game, in the next role you were the cannon, and you played against yourself.
No, I played against my parents sometimes.
Can't get cutthroat with your parents.
Can't you?
They're not going to flip the board. All right, sorry. Proceed.
But Job lands on boardwalk, and Sarah charges him $2,000. She just picks a number out of.
Well, first she says
they're not following the rules at all, Karen.
They probably don't know them. They're dressed in their parents' clothes while they're playing.
Yes.
And she says it's $13,100.
Yes. Then she says 2,000.
And then they pretend Isaac is the top hat and they put him in jail.
Yes, they do.
And laugh and laugh.
And then Malachi interrupts. Such a buzzkill.
He throws a knife into the middle of the game, into the board. They're not laughing anymore.
Nope. We cut back to Bert and Vicky back on the holiday road, Karen. Bert lights a Marlboro with his new lighter. He tells Vicky that the kid's throat was cut and that he was already dead before they hit him. I don't know how he was dead, and, like I said, and standing there, but whatever.
He says, to quote him, he says he was already dead when he stumbled out into the road.
Right.
That seems a little odd that he would be. And I said, how is that even possible?
Yes. A zombie.
But she's hoping it was an accident, like a piece of farm equipment or something.
But Bert says, Dr. Karen, that blood starts to coagulate in 4 minutes. And the blood on the suitcase was still fresh. Dr. Karen.
Okay, so first, you want to know what coagulation is? You probably do, but it's the action or process.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell the one listener who might not. The action or process of a liquid, especially blood, changing to a solid or semi-solid state. That seemed like a long time to me.
4 minutes?
Yeah, because like if you cut yourself and it drops on the counter, it doesn't take that long to get that ring around, like it's.
I don't know.
4 minutes.
4 minutes. I mean, it goes quicker than you think.
Under normal conditions, blood will coagulate within about 30 seconds of someone being wounded. But that's, I think, inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so it starts to scab or try to.
Yeah, the process involves
heal the wound.
Platelets to plug the wound.
Yeah.
So you have in your body heparin. So the reason it doesn't clot all the time is because, you have basically heparin is kind of like a blood thinner to keep you going.
But that doesn't help with like coagulating.
No, but this was my question.
Don't all the platelets all like.
Here's my question that got me dinged.
But let's seal that shit up.
How long does it take blood to start to coagulate in a corpse? And that's 30 seconds.
Okay.
But it says it takes blood about 6 hours after death to settle into the portions of the body and set. So I saw everything from 30 seconds to about 4 minutes. So they probably looked that up and it's probably correct. Okay. But basically all he's saying is that the blood was still runny on the suitcase. So he didn't miss the murder by very long at all. It had just happened because there wasn't dried blood. And plus the kid stumbled out into the road. That should have given them a clue. They didn't need the 4 minute coagulation thing. They saw the kid. You're not going to last long with your throat cut.
Nope. And we see a sign that says Gallatin 4 miles.
But didn't you think it took him longer than 4 minutes to find the suitcase anyway? He hits the kid. They run
probably
off the road.
Unless the kid has just been like slit, which means he may have been able to stumble into the road.
So that's going to take some time. But however long it took Joseph to get from the suitcase to the road, they hit Joseph.
Dr. Karen.
They're in the ditch. He's checking Linda. They walk over to the corpse. That's longer than 4 minutes.
I think this is a case of Dr. Karen overthinking it.
All right. I'm just saying it takes longer than that. So the blood would have been coagulated on the suitcase, according to their plan.
Next, Malachi brings Job and Sarah to Isaac.
I thought this is where he's found the drawings.
And Sarah has drawn pictures of the car on the way to Gatlin. Isaac tells Malachi to take Job and Sarah back to the house. Even though they were playing games and listening to music, which is forbidden, Karen.
Malachi does say he's seen the car.
Isaac says, Question me not, Malachi. Is this where I should bring up the car, Karen?
I can't think of a better time, Greg.
All right, Karen. Any idea what kind of car this is they're driving?
The Buick.
It is a Buick. How'd you know that, Karen? Did you see the
Yeah, it's on
hood ornament?
Yeah,
What kind of Buick, Karen?
I have no idea.
What year? Any guess?
No.
So apparently, Karen, it's a 1977 Buick LeSabre Custom.
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 Fancy. It's yellow, though.
Oh, yeah. It gets better, Karen. The story gets better.
Okay.
It is yellow. All right, Karen. What do you think the original MSRP of that vehicle was in 1977?
Think it cost extra for yellow.
I
We
wouldn't
had
be shocked.
we had a yellowish car. We called it the puke. We called it the puke mobile because we thought it was the color of puke. But this one's a lighter yellow than that.
1977 suggested retail price.
$9,999.
I'm sorry, Karen. The correct answer was $5,527.
Oh.
You about doubled it. You're like even over the high. So I'm giving you a hint right there. You're even over the high for what it goes for now. All right, Karen.
Would anybody want that car now?
Well, some people might be sentimental. All right. What do you want to guess? The average or the high? What it goes for now?
What was the original cost?
$5,527.
I'm going to say $5,527.
Well, you're pretty close to the average.
Thank you.
You're still over.
Ah.
It was 4,375 is the average.
Well,
Usually you're high. You don't want to guess the high?
$7,898.
Oh. So close, Karen. But you're still went over. $7,150.
Well, but I paid extra for yellow. Did you have one of these cars?
1977 Buick LeSabre Custom, right?
Yeah.
In 1979, this vehicle was replaced with the Limited Buick. I guess LeSabre. I guess it's a LeSabre Limited. I don't know. But my mom had a Buick Limited in 1984. So I'm thinking it was this vehicle, the version of this vehicle in 1984. It just said Limited. Nowhere on it did it say LeSabre.
Oh, okay.
It just said Limited.
Did it look like that?
Looked just like it. Only it was white. My mom's was white and had red interior.
Ooh.
I know. Fancy.
Fancy.
And I drove that vehicle all over creation, Karen. In 1984. I might even wrecked it once or twice.
That car had seen some action, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Those red interiors. Setting the mood.
Of course, Dad had a 1979 Chevy van.
Oh, that might work a little better.
I drove around too. So, things happen.
Teenagers.
Moving
Which I'm
on.
surprised to bring on just something to note during this movie that is not touched upon at all. I was kind of shocked by. They stay till their 18th year. That's some major hormones going on if it's just kids.
We haven't got there far. We haven't got there yet, but it's 19th birthday.
Yes, but still there would be a lot of hormones happening, and that's
I have questions about that later.
Okay, because I'm like, that's glossed over. Hey, you're already halfway through the podcast. What do you think? If you like what you hear, can you take a minute and follow us on social media? At Scary Spirits Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Thanks so much for listening. Now let's get back to the show.
All right. So then we're back on the holiday road with Bert and Vicky. And Vicky opens the suitcase.
She doesn't want to, but Bert does. And he's
Yeah.
convinced her to open it.
And they find a corn cross, Karen, a corn crucifix, right?
Looks like a corn voodoo doll.
And we cut to a gas station and a man working on a car. But don't look like that car's been on the road anytime recently, Karen, because like the brake drums are like rusted to the wheels. I don't know.
Yeah,
he says he's working on the transmission, but that car ain't going anywhere anytime soon and hasn't in quite a while.
So why did they let this guy live? So he could direct everybody away from Gatlin?
That's what they say, but the dog brings him tools, Karen.
I thought that was cute.
Is it Sarge? Sarge? He just calls him Sarge.
But he says this road's
what kind of dog Sarge was, Karen?
A border collie.
That's what I thought.
He says this road's turning into a regular highway. This is the third car this month we've seen.
Yeah, so Bert and Vicky pull up, and of course the wind starts blowing through the corn, and Bert wants to use his phone. He says he ain't got no phone. He ain't got no gas. He ain't got no phone. And he directs them to stay away from Gatlin and go to the other town.
Hemmingsport, I think it is. But Bert says, well, Gatlin's closer, but the guy says Gatlin got religion. They got religion. They got religion. They don't like outsiders and they don't have phones.
Nope. And the dog barks at the cornfield. And we see someone grab a tire iron from the cab of the truck, Karen.
And there's clouds are going nuts. It's like a storm's rolling in. It's getting really ugly.
And Bert and Vicky are back on the road, and they take the fort to
Hemmingsport.
Hemmingford.
Yeah, I was wrong. Hemmingford.
Vicky going through the suitcase in the car. It's just kid stuff. See a sign says Gatlin 2 miles. And I said, looks like someone's been messing with the signs, Karen.
Yeah. So they want them to come to Gatlin?
I don't know.
Or they don't want them to come to Gatlin?
Well, they try to avoid going to Gatlin.
I know, but
they can't.
But are the kids trying to get them to go into Gatlin? Because somebody's messing with the signs, or are they trying to keep them out? I couldn't figure out what was going on there.
But Bert and Vicky proceed straight ahead onto Hemmingford. So we cut back to the gas station, and there's a bloody bandana.
Yeah, and that pissed me off. Like, now I'm pissed at them. They didn't need to kill the dog.
So the dog gone, ? I ask. And here's where I wrote, the gas station guy should have a gun.
Well, he might
He grabs a wrench. He grabs a wrench. And there's doors opening and shit in his gas station, and he goes to investigate. And then we see someone grabbing a chisel from the workbench.
But he's upset. They killed his dog. That's his only companion.
He should have a gun, Karen.
But at some point, they took the gun, I'm sure. That's probably the first thing they did. If they let him live, they're not going to let him live with a gun.
Well, why did he let him take the gun, Karen?
There's a lot of those kids.
I have lots of questions. Is there? Really?
Yeah, at one point I counted over 30.
Okay, well, Bert doesn't seem to have any problem with them later. But whatever.
Well, this guy's old and crusty. He's limping. He's arthritic.
Oh, the more reason to have 2 guns then. One for each hand.
He should have hidden a bunch of them, yeah, but he didn't.
Someone grabs a chisel. Someone grabs a chain. There's like a hay bale hook someone has. Gas station guy has a wrench. And then we see Malachi and there's Omen music again.
Yes. But when Bert and Vicky are driving, the signs are all fucked up. So they keep driving and they end up driving off a road and in the corn.
It looks like they're driving through a corn maze, I wrote. And they end up back at the gas station.
Yeah.
And then Bert says they're going to Gallatin. He don't care what the guy says. Then we cut to the gas station guy, and he gone. Right, we see his arm in a puddle of blood.
Yeah, so there's nothing graphic in this movie, but there's a lot of implied violence. There's not a lot of graphic violence in it, but it's violent.
Next, we see Isaac in front of a corn cross, Karen.
He's got the corn voodoo doll behind him.
And he's preaching the gospel to the children.
He is.
Said he had a dream. I had a dream. Outlanders are on their way, but they're non-believers. They're fornicators and non-believers.
The Lord showed him everything, but really it's Sarah's drawings that showed him everything, not the Lord. Well, maybe the Lord told him. I don't know.
And apparently they sacrificed a police officer that they call the Blue Man.
Yeah. There's a cross made out of corn stalks, and there's who they call the Blue Man, who's in a policeman's uniform hanging on the cross.
The corpse
Well,
of one.
It's a skeleton, yeah.
And they're going to sacrifice the Outlanders too. To he who walks through the rose, Karen. That's their god.
Behind the rose. But Malachi wants to know what the Lord commanded. And I said, Malachi with his stunning mullet. He's redheaded with freckles.
Redheaded stepchild.
Which always makes him extra devious.
Yeah.
Those redheads.
Vicky and Bert arrive in Gallatin. It appears deserted, but the children watch from around corners and whatever. Bert pulls up to Hanson's Cafe to see if there's a phone. There's corn stalks everywhere, Karen. Bert tries to use the phone, but apparently it's dead. I don't know. Children watch. Then we see the children checking out the car, and Bert and Vicky chasing them away. I think they think they're trying to steal it.
Yeah.
But they run out there and they get back in the car. And then Vicky says she wants to go to Hemingford. And Bert agrees and he turns around. But as they're driving, Bert sees a door open and close in a house. It's a nice house. I like that house.
Yeah, it is a nice house.
So Bert stops, goes up, knocks on the door, and
well, he wants to go, and she says why.
She wants to use the phone.
He's
got a dead boy in his trunk.
This is where he doesn't listen to her. She doesn't listen to him, and he doesn't listen to her. She said, let's just go to the next town. This town is weird.
Have you ever used those words before, Karen?
What?
Let's just go to the next town. This town is weird.
No, not that I can remember, but she says it multiple times, and he does not listen to her.
Okay. But Bert goes up to
going up to the house.
Yeah, he wants to use the phone. No one answers, so he just walks in.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of fun. Just goes in.
Well, the door's not shut, just a screen door. He does find the phone in the kitchen, but the cord has been cut.
He does call out and say, hello, is anybody here? Yeah. Hello. And the house is in bad shape. It's not been cleaned. It's falling apart.
But the cord is cut between the handset and the phone. Yes.
The kitchen phone on the wall.
And here's where I made a note, Karen, that Bert has nice hair.
He's a handsome dude.
Yeah, that's the same haircut I had in 1984. I'm pretty sure, Karen. Who is it? Who's
Peter Horton?
Peter Horton. That's right. And Vicky is played by Linda Hamilton. So then they hear a sound from upstairs. Bert goes to investigate, and Bert finds Sarah.
Well, so when he's going up there,
he finds her drawings first, taped to the wall.
The house has that dark wood around the door frames and the light switches where you push a button.
Yeah.
Up or down. It reminded me of my grandma's house. That's what she had, that dark wood and those kind of switches. But it is a cool house.
It's good construction, Karen.
He's looking in all the rooms. I thought that was pretty rude. He's looking in all the rooms. This is someone else's house because he heard a noise. What if, I don't know.
You think he's going to walk in on Inger Pitt in the bathtub?
Maybe that's what he's probably hoping.
Hand me a towel so I can wrap it around my waist.
She's hoping Linda Hamilton walks in.
Yes, she is. So then Bert runs into Vicky and there's a jump scare I wrote. Then they eventually find Sarah.
She's playing records. That's how they
she's
find
in the
her.
house playing. She says all the grown-ups are in the cornfield because that's where Isaac put them. And she says that Isaac is the leader of everybody. And Vicky, she wants to speak to Isaac. But Sarah says he's scary. So Bert gives Vicky the car keys. He's going to go out and investigate on his own.
He's going to go to the town hall, yeah.
And, Vicky says, is this place safe? And Bert says, well, it's weird, but it's safe.
How does he know?
I don't know. Because he's a doctor, Karen.
But he leaves her there.
And Sarah tells Vicky that she is not supposed to draw, but that is what she does. And then Vicky asks Sarah to draw her a picture. Cut to Bert at the schoolhouse, and it's abandoned. Church, it's abandoned. But the kids are watching him the whole time.
And there's corn everywhere. Corn stalks, not corn, but corn stalks everywhere.
And we see Malachi and the other children with weapons, and they're at the house where Vicky and Sarah are.
So Malachi is the henchman.
Yeah, and
Isaac of them, is the leader. Yeah.
Some of them are older children. Like they're older than 19, they look to me, but whatever.
Yeah, they're like 30. That's what I said. But Malachi is the muscle. And he's a sociopath. He likes being the muscle.
He looks pretty old too.
He does. I was going to check his age, but I didn't. If he's not 17 or 18, he's awfully close. He's a big kid. I think maybe they wanted to make him big and Isaac smaller.
So he was born, Karen, in 1965. So he was in 1984.
He's 19. He was getting up there.
This was his first film. So we see Bert looking through the town some more, and we see like paintings on the walls and in the windows and shit that says, "He who walks between the rows seeth all." Karen.
Behind the rows, isn't it? Is it between or behind?
It says between is what I said.
I kept saying behind. Well, he's seeing pictures of Jesus, and they're desecrated pictures.
Desecrated, yeah.
So we're seeing that even though this is some sort of religious cult, it's not
he who walks behind the rows. That's what they call him.
But they're showing us it's not a Christian religion, whatever this is. It's not graffiti. They've used pieces of corn, I think, to
and they've cut on the painting
pictures. Yeah, but they're pictures of Christian figures. So they wouldn't have done that if it was
like
a Christian. Jesus and Mary and saints and stuff like that.
We see children with weapons entering the house where Vicky and Sarah are. Cut back to Bert walking the streets. Children watching. Back and forth, I wrote the next line because I got tired of saying it over and over again. Then we see Bert entering the town hall. Question mark I wrote. I did write he's wearing his Nikes.
I saw that too, and I knew you would notice that.
And the payphone is dead. Job is watching and follows him. And then I said, defaced painting of Jesus.
Yeah, and there's corn stalks again everywhere in the town hall.
And then Sarah shows Vicky a picture she drew of her. And we hear noises from inside the house. Cut back to Bert in the town hall in the police station, and there's writing on the wall that says, "No false gods." Go back to the house. Kids are entering with their weapons. Vicky asks what they want.
She thinks it's Bert first, so she goes out of the room, but it ain't Bert.
Malachi says, "We want to give you peace." And he says, "Seize her."
She tries to get away, but there's nowhere to go.
No, and there's Omen music.
Again, yep. That's what I said. They grab Vicky while Omen music plays. She's screaming.
She throws a lamp at him, but that doesn't do any good.
No.
They grab Vicky and carry her out. Bert finds a painting in the town hall of a dragon burning a blonde-haired woman in the cornfield, Karen.
Yep.
He runs back to the house.
He says, "Vicky."
We see the picture of Vicky that Sarah drew then. And she's being captured by the kids with weapons in Sarah's picture. So Bert breaks into the house. He asks Sarah what happened because apparently they just left her there. So we got Vicky in the cornfield, children hovering above her.
All the boys are standing over her, and she's got a crown of corn stalks.
Yes, she does. And Isaac chastises Malachi for killing Joseph and the old man at the gas station.
He says without a sacrifice, which I didn't understand because aren't those... You mean he didn't bring them to be sacrificed?
Correct.
Okay. I thought, why would you have to sacrifice someone to kill? Okay, I get it now.
Isaac warns Malachi not to question his judgment.
There's a tension here.
Yes. He tells them to bring Bert. And we cut back to Bert in the house, and Sarah is showing him the picture she drew of Malachi and the others taking Sarah away. Bert leaves the house and enters the cornfield. The corn parts. to give him a path.
It does.
And the church bells ring and Bert exits the cornfield. And we see the kids have Vicky on a corn cross, Karen.
They do.
They erect her next to the blue one.
Yeah, I said this is very Jesus-y. And the kids are cheering as they
Kill her! Kill her!
kill, 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 kill. And I wrote all this because she followed her boyfriend for his new job.
And we hear church bells and we cut to the church, and a guy who we learn is Amos is carving a pentagram into his chest. And they are capturing the blood in a cup made of corn.
Yes, the corn bowl.
The corn chalice, Karen.
Oh, I didn't see the bottom. I thought it was a bowl.
No, it's just a bowl.
Mm. And they're going to share it. So they're all in the church. Amos is at the front of the church, carving a pentagram into his chest.
It's
and
on the altar.
Squeezing it so the drops of blood go into the corn bowl. And they get a significant amount of blood into the corn bowl, and they're all about to share it. But they're not all there.
No,
because some of the kids are chanting kill, kill, kill in the field, and half the kids are in the church having a ceremony, and a girl is leading it.
Well, I guess Bert enters, right?
Yes.
And the girl tells one of the kids to go get Isaac, and then she says, "No, bring Malachi."
And they all gasp. And they're using a corn knife to cut the pentagram. And
yes, and we learn that the children all go to him who moves behind the rows on their 19th birthday.
Yes.
That's what Amos is doing here.
And he seems very happy
and
to do
all are happy to go, Karen.
He's excited. It's his passage.
So then they all try to stab Bert, but he takes the knife and escapes, and the children chase after him.
But somebody stabbed him at some point. When does he get stabbed? Isn't it here?
I think this is it. He takes the knife from his own body, from his own.
But the girl
shoulder.
stabs him.
Yes.
Yeah. With the corn knife.
Yeah. And they end up cornering Bert in the center of town, and Malachi yells at him, and Bert runs away. He's pretty good at fending them off. So I don't know.
Well, they're pretty small kids, and he's got a knife. Well, I think.
Why did the other adults have such a problem?
I think it was the surprise.
But anyway, Bert seeks shelter in a building, but Malachi sees him. Bert hits Malachi in the shin and then runs right into a pole.
He Tanya Hardings him and then runs into a pole and smashes his face.
So then Bert runs away.
I wonder if that was a mistake and they just left it in.
I don't know. But Job tells him that he knows a place to hide, and they enter the cellar of a building, and Job and Sarah are hiding there. It's in their father's bomb shelter, basically. Yes. And they mend Bert's wounds and give him some food.
See, this is where I was wondering this all along. Where are the kids getting food? Like, where's the food coming from?
Corn.
Well, that's what they make you think, but you can't. Well, maybe I guess you can survive on corn, but
oh yeah, why couldn't you?
The fields kind of looked all droughted, or was that because there were adults, and once they killed all the adults,
once the adults were gone, they started sacrificing adults to he who I don't know walks behind the rows. All the corn came back good.
But you're going to need like doctors and food, but
are you?
3 years for kids to survive on their own with no eating only corn.
Doctors from
kids are going to get sick.
Really? Are they? I mean, at 19, they all kill themselves. So I don't know, whatever.
Lots of kids get sick before they're 19.
Maybe they don't. Maybe since they're like so sheltered in this little place in Nebraska, they ain't got chicken pox and mumps and measles and all that other bullshit because they're not in their
nobody
with
ever
other
gets
children.
Cut, gets gangrene, or needs stitches, or gets an infected wound.
It is what it is, Karen. I don't think they care.
Just more sacrifice for he who walks behind the rows.
Yep.
But do they have to be? Well, they kill them, I guess. Okay.
So then Malachi and Isaac argue. Malachi turns on Isaac.
Well, they argue over Vicky because Malachi wants to take Vicky and use her as bait to get Bert to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And Isaac wants to sacrifice Vicky. She's already up there. She's ready to go. And Isaac says, know your place, and tells Malachi he's the one true leader.
That's right.
And Malachi thinks that Isaac has lost favor with the Lord. And then they get into it, and all the other kids notice, because this is a big deal. This is a power struggle now. And Malachi's bigger and stronger.
Yeah, but yeah. So
armed.
Do you trust the giver of the word or the henchman of the word?
And the enforcer of the word.
So the children follow Malachi, and they say he who walks behind the rows will decide Isaac's fate. They're going to put him up on one of them crosses too.
This is where I said there's 30-year-old men standing around. They like crew extras. Go stand over there. Flush out the crowd.
Then we cut back to Bert, and Job tells Bert all about what happened. It's giving him the backstory. Next we see...
So what's the backstory? Did Isaac just show up one day? He was a preacher, so everybody believed him, is what he said, but
yeah, I
he didn't
think
really
that
say.
He who walks behind the rows or whatever
sent Isaac.
Showed up one day.
Oh, and sent Isaac into the town?
I guess. I don't know. So Malachi brings Vicky to the center of town, and he yells, "Outlander, we have your woman!" And he even cuts Vicky's cheek, but then keeps her from screaming, which I thought was,
yeah, defeats the purpose.
Right. But Bert can't hear him anyway because he's in the cellar.
Did we say that they cut Vicky down off the cross and put Isaac up there in her place?
No.
That's what happened before they left.
More or less.
Yeah.
Job and Sarah agree to take Bert to the clearing in the cornfield where they think Vicky is, even though she's in the fucking center of town right this minute. Then we cut to Amos, ready to celebrate his 19th birthday.
Yes, he's ready to sacrifice himself. They have a surprise
for him. Isaac will be celebrating alongside.
He'll keep you company.
He's on a corn cross, Karen.
Amos is happy.
Job, Sarah, and Bert running through the town. They go to a barn. And they go up in the hayloft, Karen, where they say you can see everything in the cornfield. Bert tells
they're
Job,
quite far away, though.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Bert tells Job and Sarah that they should run to Hemingsford as fast as they can if anything happens to him. He's going out there.
He said, wait for me, but if anything happens, get to the town.
So next we see Amos ready to give himself to he who walks behind the rows. And here's what I wrote. Is his girlfriend pregnant?
Who? Amos's?
Yeah.
I don't know, because
she's standing there and she's got her hands like right here as he's walking in, and it kind of looks like she's resting him on her belly like she's pregnant.
A couple of times
her name's Rachel.
Small babies crying. So maybe, but they don't really make it obvious. But you do there was like twice where I heard a baby crying when all the kids were together in the field. And it's been 3 years and it was an infant. So I think you're right. It's subtle, but it's there.
Yeah. And then we cut to the cornfield and there's something burrowing through the ground, Karen. I don't know what it is, but it's fast and it's fucking scary.
And the chanting begins again and the singing.
And Isaac begins pleading, saying that he did everything he was told. He did as he was commanded.
I was just.
And whatever it is engulfs him and he gone. He
it's like horrible. Explodes. What is it? Is it supposed to be? It looked like radioactivity or something.
Or maggots. I don't know. It was weird. Radioactive maggots.
It looked bad. It was not a good effect, I didn't think.
It did look bad.
They should have just set him on fire. Well, not that I want a kid set on fire, but...
Well, an evil kid.
The special effects were not good.
And it's the end of the movie, so they're like, at this point, on a limited budget, and that's where all the special effects come in, right?
they don't always film in order, though.
Budget for this wasn't much, even in 1984 standards. It made a ton of money.
Well, it's good until the special effects thing, and then you're looking at. I kind of missed it because I was mystified by.
But
the
1984,
effects. Maybe, I guess, but I watched that more than Isaac being consumed by it.
There were better special effects in '84. I know there were. So Bert saves Vicky, and he confronts all the children about their beliefs, and he basically
he's preaching at them.
Yeah, tells them about the religion and
what kind of.
Are you serious?
What kind of God tells children to kill their parents? Have you ever heard of that before, Isaac? Any religion without love and compassion is false. So I'm like, Bert's preaching to them, but Malachi takes him down.
Yep, attacks Bert. They struggle. And then I wrote, Bert bitch slaps Malachi
multiple times. But Malachi's got a chain, and they're fighting in the middle of the circle of children, like out on recess. Fight, 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 fight.
I don't know what you mean, Karen. We never had that in public schools.
Yes, you did. We could hear it across the parking lot. But he finally knocks Malachi out.
He kicks his ass, and then he takes a knife and he purposely throws it towards him and purposely misses.
But he throws the knife right next to Malachi.
Right next to him. Yeah, in the ground.
Here you go, Malachi. Here's a knife.
That's right. I could have killed your ass just then. Yes. But I didn't.
But I armed you. Here you go.
Then Isaac reappears, right?
Yeah, looking a little worse for wear.
Yeah. And he commands the children to get Bert. He says he wants Malachi too. Yeah. He who
walks behind the rows.
Whatever he does, yeah. Wants Malachi too.
Isaac looks at Malachi and says he wants you too. It's very creepy.
And Isaac grabs Malachi by the neck and strangles him, and he gone. Pretty sure.
I think you hear him crack his neck.
You do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
but he's like a zombie. He's like dead reanimated.
He is.
He's a scary looking little kid.
See children in the barn. There's a storm coming. And then Vicky and Bert reunite in the barn. Job tells Bert that the blue man was reading from the Bible to try to stop the monster. He was working near the still. And Job gives Bert the page from the Bible with the scripture underlined,
which he happens to have in his pocket.
Yeah.
Conveniently.
So they kind of discovered that the blue man, or the cop, was going to make a lake of fire by burning the cornfield.
Yes.
The next we cut, they're looking for a connector. They're at the gas hall.
And all the kids, all of a sudden, are cooperating with Bert.
They're trying to find a connector to connect the hose to the still or the gas hall tank or whatever. I don't know. So Bert runs out of the barn with the hose, and then the corn starts attacking him. And we have Omen music. Bert uses his pocket knife to cut the corn from him. And we hear the corn scream, Karen.
Yes.
And Job comes to help him. Bert sends him back to the barn. Job and Bert hook up the gas to the watering system.
Job doesn't go back to the barn, though. Apparently he stays and helps Bert.
To the irrigation system, I guess is what it is, right?
Well, Bert yells at Job, go back to the barn, go back to the barn. Then he's asking him, how do you run this thing? What do you do? And I'm thinking, well, thank God.
He says, crank it.
The wind's blowing now and it's loud and something's coming. And so, but Bert wouldn't have been able to do it if Job didn't tell him what to do. And then he has Job turn a crank or over where he is to turn on the irrigation system. So basically they're using the irrigation system to flood the cornfield with gasohol, right?
Gasohol. Yeah. And Bert lights a Molotov cocktail with his brand new lighter, monogrammed and everything.
Yep.
And throws it into the cornfield. But apparently he ain't a good throw.
He threw it into like a path instead of the corn.
So Job runs out there to get the bottle. And he brings it back. And
toss number 2.
Something burrowing underground following him. Bert throws the bottle And then the cornfield burst into flames on throw number 2.
And they run out. Bert and Job run out of the field.
Yep.
And there's multiple explosions.
Yep. They get back to the barn, I guess, and Bert and Vicky embrace.
Lots of explosions in the field.
So Bert, Vicky, Job, and Sarah all go to the car.
They leave the barn. I said, bad special effects. Something's dying in the fields. I don't know what it was.
To the 1977 Buick LeSabre Custom.
But they left all the other kids in the barn, I guess. Like they just took these two.
Can't take them all. But apparently the car ain't working too good.
It's covered in corn. They shoved corn in the engine and in the gas tank, and
so they decide to walk to Hemingford.
The 19 miles to Hemingford.
Yeah, Bert goes to get a map from the car because, of course, you need a map to get to Hemingford, Karen. And then we see Rachel in the back, the pregnant girl, and she attacks him while Omen music is playing.
Yeah, that scared me too. I jumped. Well, she has, what is that? A scythe? What do you call that?
Yes, a scythe.
And she tries to cut him, but he stops her and knocks her out with the car door. Like she's coming after him and he slams the car door into her head and she's out cold.
Vicky says they will send a get well card to her from Seattle.
Well, Bert says, what should we do with her now? And I'm thinking, what about the 30 other kids you left in the barn? You're not concerned about them either? But she says, I guess that's supposed to be funny. We'll send her a get well card from Seattle. And they take off.
Yeah, it's funny. And then they leave with Job and Sarah.
Because they say, well, they can stay with us for a week.
I don't know, a day or two.
A day, then a week.
How about a week?
Then a month. So they're going to stay with them forever, I guess.
Yeah. Credits, the end. There's lots of biblical names in this, Karen.
Are there biblical names in the short story? Or did they
change
them for this?
I have no idea.
Job, you have to have patience, I know.
Oh my God. He was tested by Satan, Karen.
Oh, that's why you know about him.
Over and over again, but he never gave up faith. Did you know that this short story first appeared in the March 1977 issue of Penthouse, Karen?
I did not.
Did you know that?
Who was the cover of Penthouse? Oh
my God, that's a good question. Yeah, so the Penthouse Pet of the Month was Cynthia Gaynor, but there's also a nude pictorial featuring Pet of the Year runner-up, Bonnie D. Wilson. So you're getting 2 for 1 in that magazine, Karen. 2 for 1.
But there can only be one on the cover.
There is only one on the cover, and I think it's Bonnie D. Wilson.
Okay.
What was I looking that up for? You were asking me about if their names were the same or something, right? That's what I was looking it up for. I was looking up the short story, and all of a sudden I went down a Penthouse rabbit hole.
It's funny how that happens.
Oh my God. Yeah, Bert and Vicky. But they're trying to save their marriage.
In the story, they're trying to save their marriage? Okay.
So for a vacation to see her brother.
Oh, that's
so it's a little different. And Bert's ready to call off the vacation and consult a divorce attorney, Karen. Then they run over a boy.
Okay, well, they encounter one.
It says they run him over.
Well, I know, but
and his throat slit.
In the synopsis, it says they encounter a boy in the road.
Yeah. Go to the town, finds a book with names changed to biblical ones. So they changed their names to biblical names in the story.
Oh, interesting. Well, they may have done that. Well, no, they were calling Joby from the very beginning.
Yeah. And everyone listed is deceased on their 19th birthday. They are all in Amish clothing with farm tools, but
they did show it when they were in the church about to drink the blood from the corn bowl. There was a list of names. So they were keeping records.
Yep. All right, Karen. What did you enjoy about this film?
I liked it. I've never seen it, so I thought it was an excellent film. As we've said before, kids are creepy.
Excellent?
I really liked it. There's a lot of plot holes and there's a lot of questions that I have, but it's an interesting story that isn't overdone.
So Wikipedia calls it an American supernatural slasher horror film. But there's not really a lot of
Is that about a remake, though?
blood and gore in it. No, that's this one.
Hmm.
Would you call this a slasher?
If you saw it, it could be a slasher. I mean, they do cut everybody's throats, all of the adults. If they
But you don't
showed
see
all
it.
that, no, but you know it happened.
Yeah.
Malachi is definitely a psychopath. I think if you dig deeper, I bet there's a lot of lessons you're supposed to learn from this one about power struggles and religion and
I think
community.
there's all kinds of like,
I know, but it's all it's all interlayered in a very almost simple story. I like that about it too. You could watch it multiple times and get different.
gasohol comes up a lot, which I
Okay.
think is kind of interesting. I guess he wrote it during a fuel crisis, right? When they were trying to make gas out of alcohol from corn,
Yes.
right?
From corn. Yes, from corn.
Yeah, that was interesting. Bringing up Monopoly was interesting. I thought the 1977 Buick LeSabre Custom was interesting that he brought that in.
Good job. But you can see it's even more layered in that the preacher kid who comes in is a small kid, but he has the charisma and
he's preaching.
So he has
that kid would do well on Sunday morning TV.
He could preach. But he's small in stature and it takes quite a while. It's been over 3 years before Malachi, who's much bigger and stronger, makes a move for power. So there's
and
that
he's
whole
almost
dynamic.
19, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Malachi.
so he probably wants to change the rule to make it 25 or something because he's about to die. But there's just a lot of commentary on many different levels in the movie. I thought it was good. It's creepy. Kids are creepy.
Kids are creepy, Karen. I've been trying to tell you that for weeks.
Didn't disagree with you. Did you like anything about it?
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, it's a Stephen King novel converted to film. Has all the Stephen King stuff in it that.
But you didn't think this was better than Maximum Overdrive? There's more of a story. There's
maybe. I mean, but only because Stephen King didn't direct it.
Well, okay. I guess that's
same.
true.
Even though they even rejected his script for this, they used someone else's script based on his short story. He wrote a script for it, but they said, no, we're not going to do that. So I don't know. They all feel kind of the same to me.
I guess I haven't seen enough Stephen King movies.
Carrie's a Stephen King. We did that. Maximum Overdrive. This. Yeah. They all have this feeling. I don't know. Feels like Stephen King.
All right.
All right. Anything you hated, Karen?
The special effects were lacking, I think.
Well, the budget was $800,000, which wasn't anything.
No, I get it.
Even in 1984, that was nothing.
I think it would have been
but it made $14 million.
Almost more interesting if the devil or the demon wasn't even real. Like they didn't even show it and the kids just followed the preacher and went through with everything without they start doing this crazy shit and then we see something moving in the corn and then it's justified because there is a demon there and so they are following an actual demon. And when I was watching it, I thought to myself, it would be creepier if Malachi turned on Isaac, put him up there and they just burned him because Malachi said to. That's more evil than a freaking demon in the cornfield, I think.
Then Malachi started preaching.
Well, Malachi took up, that
saying, I am the.
And then sequel, because then we see Malachi. Yes. I don't know. I just thought I thought it was taking a stance on blind following of religions or something, but there was actually
Well, I'm sure it was.
Well, but there was something actually in the cornfield. So in essence, they were doing what they
That's
should
another
do.
king thing. It's always the unseen thing that.
But the corn started growing once they did what the creature said. But if the creature wasn't actually there, it could have been coincidence. But we see that there is something there.
And I wouldn't be shocked if there was like some prequel to this saying that he always does this thing where like something from outer space comes down and things change and then the thing disappears and everything's back to normal. You know, like Maximum Overdrive. That's the way that was. Right? Something came from outer space and
well, like Village of the Damned. I'm just saying, I thought it would be a creepier movie if the kids just blindly followed Isaac and then blindly followed Malachi, because that was the next person in line. There was no devil in the corn.
I would have liked to seen the demon in the corn.
Yeah, that would have, well, that's part of the special effects.
Yeah, I don't want to see something burrowing underground. I want to see a demon in the corn.
I could see where it would give kids nightmares, this movie.
Well, that's why it's rated R, Karen.
Well, I was reading a review where they said you can watch it with your kids because there's no...
Now you could, probably.
But if your kid pays attention, it's a scary movie. If you're just talking about whether you see violence or not, that's a different thing. Were you disappointed in anything?
I kept waiting for the sexual content.
Okay, I can see where you were disappointed then.
No, I wasn't. I mean, it was kind of what I expected, I guess.
Okay.
Was disappointed. I mean, it was fine. Stephen King film. It was fine.
I liked it. It got me. The jump scares got me.
So you liked it?
I did.
Okay.
I wonder how hard it was to... I thought the acting was good.
It's fine.
The little kid was good. Job was good. Malachi was creepy. I don't know if his acting was great, but he was cast well.
Isaac was good.
Very good. His voice even was preachery.
Everyone else was fine. Peter Horton had nice hair.
He did. He has weatherman hair. Nice hair. They say weathermen have nice hair.
All right, Karen. What kind of cocktail rating do you want to give this film?
Did we give Maximum Overdrive a 3?
We gave it 3 cocktails.
All right, then this is definitely a 3. It wasn't worse than that. I liked it. If you haven't seen it, I think you should see it. It's a good Halloween movie.
Okay, so that makes up for last week.
What? That was fine. We gave that one a 3, a 2.
Well, yeah, I gave that one a 3. You wanted to give it a 4. So.
I did, yes.
You want to give this one a 3, and I might want to give this one a 4. So we're even. What about our cocktail, Karen?
I like the cocktail.
It's all right. It's a little too much orange juice. It's a little orange strong.
Well, you could always add more of your other flavors.
Or less orange juice.
Yeah. But you need to get
once I put 4 ounces of orange juice in my martini glass here, I think you need an extra large martini glass for the drink.
I thought it was tasty. I would make it again.
What did you do with your extra candy corn infused vodka, Karen?
Well, nothing yet.
I drank mine.
You did a shot?
Yeah, I did shots. I did like 3 shots because that's how much was left.
Look at you. Waste not, want not. Everything is used.
Anything we learned today, Karen?
We learned about the Buick LeSabre.
You did?
About Monopoly.
Yep.
Coagulation.
Haywood Banks.
You learned that you can't play Monopoly at the Hudson House on Sundays. So don't even come over. Try to use your cannon piece.
Howitzer.
Yep.
So I believe next week is my choice, is it?
It is.
Okay. Next week, Karen, we're going to watch The Old Dark House.
Okay.
From 19 1932.
It's got Fay Ray in it.
I don't think it does.
Oh.
Boris Karloff. No Fay Ray.
Why did you pick that movie?
Because, Karen, it was released on October 20th. And our next episode comes out on October 19th.
Nice.
That's the way I roll. 1932.
Yes, you're very organized that way. Do you have a drink to go with it?
I do, Karen.
What would that be?
That would be a drink called the Dark and Stormy.
No. That's beer and something. What is it?
Nope. No
Oh,
beer.
I thought it was like Guinness and something else.
Nope. 2 ounces of dark rum, black rum, whatever. Half an ounce of lime juice and ginger beer. So I guess it is. But if you count ginger beer, it's not really beer.
No, but that's not what I was thinking of.
And the lime wheel, Karen, for garnish.
Okay, awesome.
Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen, besides our listener?
No, I'm going to thank our listener. Our listener should always be thanked. 100% they should be thanked. There's a lot of podcasts out there. Thanks for choosing to spend time with us.
Yes, thank you.
Who do you need to thank, Greg?
Well, Karen, I want to thank Michael Coulter, who commented on our YouTube video. So we had a little interaction going there for a little bit.
What, did he think you were handsome or something? What?
No.
Like the drink?
He just sets up and I replied, thanks for watching. And he said, you're very welcome or something, just.
Oh, such a polite young man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I need to thank the band Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
The music does make the podcast better.
Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Hey, it's Karen, and I'm here to talk to you about getting social with us. Did you know you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast? Or check out our website, scaryspirits.com. If you have something to say, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. And as always, thanks so much for listening. Please drink responsibly.